What is up, everybody? Rob the Vapor here, and today we have another review, and it is the Goblin Mini by Youde, or Youde, as it says right there. Let's see if this will focus again. Yeah, there we go. You can see there's like a Goblin Mini written there. So this is an RTA, obviously, if you didn't guess. It is the smaller brother of the Goblin RTA by Youde. So they went all out with creativity and naming this. But yeah, so I missed the Zephyrus Goblin train, so I said I'd get this and review it because I missed all those and everyone was ranting and raving about how awesome they were. So I decided I'd get this Goblin Mini. But before we go further into the review, it is my birthday today. I'm getting old. I'm 27. Sucks. Nearly 30. Not good for business at all. But forever young in the mind. Always a big child. So anyway, guys, the Goblin Mini is another Chinese authentic that is, really popular. Same as the Mutation by Indulgence or Unisig or whatever the feck. And then you have, what else do you have? The Freak Show from Witofo, all of those. And build quality is medium. Yeah, the threading's a little bit off, a little bit janky. Airflow is a bit janky, and we're going to talk about that right now. But first, have a little vape and see how she hits. So we're at 0.4 ohms at 25 watts. Okay, so flavor in the Goblin, very good. Wicking is perfect. If you wick it correctly, you're not going to get a dry hit. It performs really nicely. But, here are the things that I wanted to talk about that I do not like about the Goblin. So much so that it's after giving me like 4 out of 10 type ideas. So the airflow itself, the way it works is janky. It's a slider at the bottom. I'll show you guys when we go up close. It's right down at the bottom, right on your deck of your unit. And this, when I've taken it off and say you're moving around your deck or whatever, I've noticed that this is sort of flappy a little bit. It has a bit of give. It's not very sturdy. It sort of feels like eventually it might come off or mess up, something like that. But in my opinion, the most critical error of this unit is that the airflow is literally on top of your 510, pretty much on either side of it. And I think that that's just a very silly design decision. You guys can see that right there. So those are the 2 holes. Let me see if I can get this. Yeah, there we go. So there is the airflow. What this means is the Goblin's chamber is quite prone to condensation. So what can happen is not only if you wick it incorrectly, but also if you have too much condensation in your chamber from heavy vaping, it's going to leak. It's going to leak onto your 510. Not very good for business, right? So that is something to keep in mind if you guys are wanting to get one of these. It's something that I sort of can't forgive. I think it's, because people will get this and this will be their first RTA and they might wick it wrong and then they're going to have a problem. It might get down into their unit, maybe even mess it up, who knows. And then for the more experienced people, you might come across condensation because this thing vapes so good and it's so nice and tasty that you will chain vape and the condensation will build up. And no matter if you haven't wicked correctly or not, it's going to overflood the chamber a little bit. And then you might get a little bit of leakage, which I've gotten twice. Both were the first time was from like wicking issues. I had to change up the wicking a little bit. And then the second time was from just chain vaping and then it just leaked. But then after that, it's been fine since. So, yeah, be mindful, guys, because this is potentially something that could mess up your unit. You don't want liquid all over everything. It could make things perform wrong. It could hit like an exposed wire, whatever. It's something to think about. I just really think that it was a very silly decision by Youde to make it this way, or Youde to make it this way. So yeah, but wicks like a champ. You will not get a dry hit once you get it right. The only problem is you're going to get juicy. The juice filling, it's not top fill, so we sort of feel like we've taken a year. We've gone back a year in time. So that's another issue. I think you will need a needle nose bottle to fill this. If not, glass probably won't work, and some of the thicker needle tips, I guess, won't work. So that's another issue, which is another thing I just don't like about it. So yeah guys, Goblin Mini, you're sacrificing a lot for the size. That's what I will say. If you really want a sexy, very sexy RTA that performs well, get it, but get the Goblin, get something bigger, you know, so that you don't have this exposed airflow right down onto your 510 and stuff. I think it's quite silly. But yeah, other than that, it's all good. And I got this from Vaporium. The guys at Vaporium are based in Waterford. They're very good guys. It cost me $32.50, which is not bad. It's an authentic, you know, happy days. And yeah, the super quick service. I was happy with all of it and got it straight away, next day or the day after, something like that. So yeah, I like this and I will use it, but at the same time, I can't recommend it, you know. It's really up to you guys whether, you know, you want to get something a little bit smaller with potentially a lot more issues. So yeah, that's really, I'm sort of speechless about anything else that I can say about it. That's sort of the way it is. But it's nice, vape's good, flavor's good. Deck is tough to build on. I found that, you know, you can't go bigger than 3mm in coils, but yeah, I have a 26 gauge 3mm build in here, I think, and it's 0.4 ohms if I said that already, and it performs nicely, it tastes good, it's enjoyable. Best RTA I've probably used in terms of wicking and stuff, but you know, I can't forgive the issues. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go up close and we're going to show you guys the deck and stuff, and then I'll give you my final rating. Okay guys, so when you get your box in the post, this is how it will look. It's pretty basic packaging, nothing crazy fancy, fairly standard really. And yeah, once you pop it open, you've got, so this is what comes in the box. Whoops. So you get your little bag here, and in that you have your 510 adapter, your single coil airflow blocker thingy, as you can see there's at the bottom of the bag, and some spare O-rings and stuff like that. So here's the actual unit itself, if we can get my camera to focus on it, which it doesn't seem to want to do. So let's do this manually, because this is annoying. Right, here we go. So we're in focus, and this is what comes in the box. So you get a spare Pyrex tank and a spare drip tip as well, which is pretty nice. So happy days there. So we pop this out. So here is the unit, and as I was talking about guys, you know, we'll show you up close where I feel like there might be issues with this unit, and also we'll talk a little bit about, you know, the airflow and stuff like that. So this is your airflow right down underneath, so it comes up under the coils, and you just adjust it by using this little slider here. They call it like a dial or something like that, so you just dial it around, right being the most wide open, and it actually has minimum written on it and maximum. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that, but it has minimum and maximum, and you can see Goblin written on the center chimney there. So it's, you know, it's a really sexy RTA for sure, but you know, there's a few issues with it that I just, you know, I'll show you guys. We'll pop it up and we'll talk about it. And you know, it sort of surprised me that Youde came up with this type of design. So here's the deck, which is a pretty standard RTA deck. It's quite tight for space, which, you know, is again a small little issue. Really, 3mm coils is about as big as you want to go. It's quite a tight fit with 3mm coils in there. But on the deck you've got nice big deep juice wells and stuff like that. But yeah, so my main issue here, and I talked a little bit about it when I was up above, but so when, if you guys see the airflow, we'll try and screw this off here and I'll show you guys. So the airflow is right under the coils, and I don't know if you guys will be able to see. Let's see if we can bring this in a bit to focus. Let's see. Right, okay. So the air holes, which now they're under the shade, but they're right under there, under the coil. So what happens is, if there's too much juice, or even condensation, that's my main issue, is that if condensation builds up in the chimney, it will leak through there. It's going to oversaturate your coil, and it's going to drip down through straight out your airflow right down onto the 510 of whatever you're using. So I think that's a really bad design. I think that it's potentially, you know, could mess up some units. So be very, very careful, guys, because a mistake with this could be, you know, critical. It could be something that really messes up your unit. So, you know, you've got to be mindful. You've got to watch it, particularly the first few times you wick it, because, you know, that's a learning experience with any new RTA. You sort of have to figure it out. And this is how I have it wicked, guys, which is pretty much the way I would recommend. Which is very, very small wicks. They don't go down into the juice channels really. Now there's a little bit of trail off there, but very, very small. And when I'm actually putting it in, it doesn't go down into the juice channels. That's probably just with liquid, it sags a bit. But yeah, so basically make your cotton, cut it to size, then put your little center barrel here of your chimney, put that over it. Tuck your cotton in then afterwards with a screwdriver, whatever. I might do an in-depth video for this on how to wick and build on here. Possibly, we'll see. But yeah, the screws are fine. They're a bit tough to turn sometimes. I found them a little bit strange. Machining is, you know, medium. And yeah, guys, it's a very, very strange little RTA, one that, you know, with Youde, they made waves with the Goblin originally, and, you know, with this it sort of seems like a step backwards, you know what I mean? There's no top fill, so we got to use this little hole down here, which is fine. I found it's a bit of a problem with thicker needle bottles, but you can get it done. Really, you'd want needle tips. Ideally, if you're using glass droppers, then you're kind of out of luck almost. And then there goes my Facebook. And then there's the top part, which obviously screws onto your center chamber, your drip tip. But overall, it feels pretty nice to vape on. Just a little bit disappointed with how it's sort of put together. But anyway, let's go back up top. And we're back. So, final rating, guys. You've seen it up close. You've seen all I've talked about. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. Because of the issues and the design decisions, I just think it's poorly designed. And I don't really understand why they did it. I understand that they want to try and keep the size and height down, but really it's not worth it with an RTA to do that, especially if you're, you know, like going down that low. Dumping juice is something that I haven't done in a good while. I've been using the Limo 2 and the K-Fun 4. Dumping juice in an RTA again is something that I just don't really like doing. So, you know, and if you're a beginner and you mess up your wicking or anything, you're going to be dumping a lot of juice. So keep that in mind, guys. I've been Rob the Vapor. If you like this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, whatever. And yeah, if you like the Goblin, let me know. Tell me I'm an idiot, whatever. I'll see you guys soon. I've been Rob the Vapor. Haters catch the vapor.